Hello, guys. So you know what? Every fault is a fashion. We're learning. We're learning as we go. So, hello all. Welcome to this tea salon. Finally, we're here, where we interview authors of diverse backgrounds and discuss them, their books, and all things historical romance. And we have a little tea with our scones. I am your host, Adi Dulac, and today I am joined by my sometimes friend and always sprinting partner, Cecilia Renee. Darling. Hello. So who will we discuss? Who are we chatting with today? Who's on the docket for today?
Today, we are discussing or talking with Elysabeth Grace, baby, and she is smart.
Okay, I'm so excited.
So, Elysabeth Grace writes historical, paranormal, and contemporary romance. When she's not writing romance, she is a professor emerita Shakespeare and early modern English literature and culture,
Oh my God.
and occasionally still dabbles. Probably unimportant, but worth a mention. While she can take or leave most sport, she is Arsenal FC forever. Okay.
I need to know more about this because I don't follow football nearly as closely as I should. The only time I'm paying attention is when it's World Cup, and then it's just you have your national teams that you support. But this is super exciting. Let us bring our super special guest on. I'm going to bring her onto the stage. Everybody get ready. Come on.
There she is.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming. We had a little mishap earlier, which is why we're all laughing. There was a situation, and so it's like, yes, we were all late, as we would be, right?
You're the only respectable one in the room, I see.
It's just a black screen. We're like chatting. We're doing the whole thing. Nothing. Nothing's happening. Oh my God. Okay. So before we get started, since it is a tea salon, water's an option, alcohol's an option. But let's show off our tea mugs. The tea fit for today. My tea mug for the tea today is, I got it from Temu. I'm super excited about it. Little Zutara vibes. We got our dragon over here. We got our little fish. We got Twee-in-law. We're doing our things. Having a great time. So let me see yours. What's going on?
I just got a Cecilia Renee mug. I only had like 10.
You got your own mug?
Oh, that is gorgeous.
Always a happily ever after. That's all I got.
That is lovely. Oh, I'm gonna steal that idea.
I'm not cool enough to have my own mug. I just have a mug collection.
I gave them all away in London at the London Rare. I gave them all away. This is the only one I got.
Oh my gosh. So Elizabeth, what do we have? What are we working with?
Oh, I just have a bottle of water. But I do have a teacup.
Okay.
So if you wanna just take 30 seconds, turn me off.
Okay.
And then I'll be right back.
Okay. She's gonna be back, guys.
You're gonna come back with a tea.
I'm excited. I am so excited about this tea thing. I can't believe we have a historian on here. We have like a Shakespearean academic over here.
I don't think I knew this.
I mean, I think I feel like this is also the point of this podcast.
You didn't say Cece, she's a real Shakespearean historian. Like you didn't say that.
No, that's not what I was gonna say. That's not what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say is I feel like that's the whole point. It's like we have people from such a wide such varied backgrounds with so much experience, specifically in historical romance, writing from a position of real bring it closer to the screen. Oh my God. Wow. I need that mug. Where'd you get that mug?
That's beautiful.
London?
Okay, London. Taking notes.
And what era is that?
That's Elizabethan.
Yeah, it's Elizabethan. Yeah. I got it in London. Let's see, kid's 26. Probably my kid was about 8 or 9. So it's old. It has a little chip, so I don't drink out of it, but I'm gonna keep it forever. And I don't know if people can read that, but it says Pool, England.
Yeah.
So it is not made in China. Well, it's actually a porcelain cup made in England. And so,
nice. Well, mine is made in China, and I'm totally cool with it.
Oh, honey, so am I. You should see my other ones. I've got plenty.
We support China.
We support China.
Yes, we do.
We support all people. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
So let us
get serious, huh?
We should get serious. It's fine. It's like I'm so excited. The problem is I'm so excited. It's so excited. Okay, so Elizabeth, how long have you been writing historical paranormal romance? How long have you been doing this?
Do I really have to tell you the years?
Well,
okay, since graduate school.
Okay.
That's perfect. That's fantastic.
When I made a decision, I've read historicals, except they weren't romance, but I read historical fiction from the time I was middle school and whatnot. I'm ancient, and so that continued, and there were like the Foxes of Harrow, and some of the Frank Yerby was the first to really get me connected to the idea of historical fiction. And then I read W.B. Du Bois's Dark Princess, which he called a romance. But most people say it is just a political piece of fiction.
Right.
But I was intrigued by the fact that he called it a romance. And so I went, of course, being the child that I was, I went and looked up what a romance was. And then I started following romance. And I started reading the older ones, especially the ones that were in English and whatnot. But they were often translated. I have no idea as to what it was historically I was doing, but I loved the stories. So that's what inspired me. Graduate school, I wrote my first one, which oddly enough became the book that gave rise to my paranormal series.
Okay.
The Daughters of Saria, which the first 2 books are set pre-1700. So one's Elizabethan, the other one is later Stuart, so late 17th century.
Jacobite, yeah.
But
so pre-Jacobite, not quite.
Not quite. Charles's reign. Charles II. And then the last 2 are contemporary, but that book was inspired by Milton's Paradise Lost, the opening canto, when we first meet Lucifer / Satan.
Yeah.
Because I love that speech. I mean, so quintessentially human. The ambition, the sense of having been humiliated, the belief that he has the right to challenge an authoritative situation, the idea that he was first born and then he's supplanted. I love it. And then Richard III, which is the other part. That's a fave. Richard III, which became, for me, the political framework, where, again, you have a firstborn who inherits, and the secondborn is a better politician and would make a better ruler, and actually ended up doing so for some years. So I just smushed all that together and started writing. Officially, my very first publication was in 2019. So
Okay.
again, I had been writing for a
Yeah.
long time beforehand,
Yeah.
but mostly academic.
Mm.
And then when I decided I was going to retire and join the illustrious group of poor emeriti professors, decided I needed to really learn the craft. I went
Yeah.
back and read stuff, and I'm like, oh. So I spent time learning the craft. I always knew that historical romances would be one of the subgenres of romance that I would write, but
Mm.
I cannot limit myself. You know, I
Yeah.
just
No.
don't believe in it. I believe you write whatever you want.
Which
Yeah.
is clear by all your books. Like they're so vast.
Yeah.
So very, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's
Well,
also like that's such a it's so cool because like for me writing, getting into paranormal or getting into fantasy or like that area is so daunting to me because of the level of world building that you have
mm,
Yeah,
to get into. To me,
yeah,
research into like a historical era is way easier because the
yes,
information's there. I don't really have to
right.
do anything. But like when you get to creating something, that's when I immediately am just like, yeah, no. Like this is how I get into a rabbit hole, and then I'm so busy. I would end up being like, not that I could ever aspire to be as great as a great J.R. Tolkien, but it would be one of those situations. But I'm so busy nitpicking the world that I'm like, it's like, are you ever going to write this book? It's like, well, I'm in the middle of creating the language, and what had
it's the
happened
whole
was
work.
is I got
Exactly.
distracted. And like this is what would happen. And people would just be like, she created this whole world around this historical, this fantasy, and she never actually wrote the book. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. I needed to have the train lines organized. And I needed to know if they were color coordinated or not, and what the
Mhm.
colors represented.
Oh,
And
see,
was it like that is my problem.
That's a lot.
It's a problem.
okay, as I tell people all the time, okay, I am Aquarius chaos walking. I
Wow.
can't do all that. I come up with an idea, like I have one right now that I'm
Mhm.
working on, and it'll be finished sometime this year with luck. But I was working on Elizabethan Mischief,
Mhm.
and that one, um, all of my research is poured into that. It's got
Mm.
Midsummer Night's Dream at kind of at the center of it. Elizabeth's last years, all the plots against her, the stuff that I was familiar with as someone who taught the literature in cultural context. So I'm writing this, and there's a point at which, when my two twin sisters um, uh, first meet, and the white presenting one cannot believe that she has a black sister.
Mm.
And
Right.
then the grandfather says, honey, you're as black as she is. You just don't look it, which is why you're with me.
Yeah.
And then they unravel the mystery around their birth and all this other good stuff. And that moment was like, these girls are crying and stuff,
Yeah.
doing that kind of stuff. You know what it's like when you have characters and they suddenly become
Take over.
real. It's like,
Yeah.
So I started reading cozy mysteries
Mm.
to deflect the moments when I would hit an obstacle with Elizabethan Mischief. And I must have read a half a dozen different authors and at least 3 dozen works.
Mhm.
And to my writing group, I said, do these people ever have sex
And cozy mysteries.
in cozy
Asking the real
mysteries?
questions over here. I'm
Okay.
serious. I'm just like,
No, most of
y'all
them
not
don't.
snatching? Like what
No.
happened?
Maybe in book 6,
Oh,
the
gee.
the main character, the protagonists who have been feeling each other and stuff might kiss. Or maybe at the end of the book they'll hug and he might give her a little smooch that has meaning. But it really is about the mystery
Wow.
I'm
and
laughing
the
so hard
small
at like
town and all of
Cecilia's
this.
face. Cecilia and I are just like, Nothing? Like, we're
You
just
know, I'm
like,
not reading. I'm not reading.
Meanwhile, in Elizabeth Mistress,
right.
I have my sisters. One is in the hallway, a hidden hallway pathway, having sex with her future husband, and the other one is having sex with the man she's in love with, who their relationship is complicated. He was threatened by her grandfather to stay away from her, and so he walked out of her life.
That's not going well.
While, they're sort of dancing around each other, but he manages to give her an orgasm and all this other good stuff.
As
I'm
one
writing
does.
this stuff. And so I'm like, cozy mysteries, they don't do nothing. Why am I reading this? The
Oh
other
my
problem
God.
with mysteries, it's the way I read. I will read your first chapter and your last chapter.
No, you do?
I do.
Me too. And
Oh my God, really?
my whole
I
coworkers
thought I
been
was the
talking
only
about me
person
so
who did
bad.
that. Okay, so with mysteries, people are like, well, don't you want to know how it happened? And I said, well, eventually, but I want to know what happened and who did it. And then I want to go back and watch how they did it.
Right, exactly.
And why people were so ignorant that they couldn't figure that out.
They couldn't figure it out.
That's what intrigues me about mysteries. So I'm not a good mystery reader. So I'm reading this. And then, so to my group, I went, does anybody write sex into these books? And they said, no. I said, well, somebody should. And they all looked at me. And my writing partner goes, hey, you do it. I'm like, she said, Elizabeth, you wrote in your last book of The Daughters of Syria, called Fate's Promise, you had sex in the sky.
Oh.
She's a shifter, he's Lucifer. Therefore angelic,
Yeah.
And I went, oh, okay, you're right. I am weird. So
like, I didn't do that.
So I
do
went.
that.
We can always talk about that.
Yeah.
So I went and wrote The Cock and Oyster. That's how that came into being. It's a historical cozy mystery with a dash of kink.
Oh, I did see that. Okay.
Okay. It was too long to put on the front, on the cover, but in there.
I beg to differ.
Cozy mystery with a dash of kink. You could have.
I'm going to reissue those, so I'll put it in there in the next special edition when I finish.
Hang on. We got it.
But and then I just said,
there we are.
Yep.
Here we go.
But see, the cock and oyster is a signal. Okay. What the cock and oyster is also a brothel.
Yeah.
And so it was, okay, this is your clue as to what's going to happen here. And so the madam of the brothel, the owner of the brothel, is a Black woman. She gets involved. It's an interracial. She gets involved with one of Elizabeth's spies, who walks in, and the first line is, I basically see in the back of her, it's like, I've just met the woman I'm going to marry. I've fallen in love, blah, blah, blah. I can never even quote myself. But they get together. He woos her. Eventually, they get married.
Yeah.
They move to the countryside. And each text is a cozy mystery turned upside down based on a Shakespeare play.
Okay.
And so the first one is Hamlet. The second one is Othello, Much Ado About Nothing, Antony and Cleopatra, Midsummer, and Macbeth are the plays that I use. And the couple are like Nick and Nora Charles from the Thin Man series. They're always drinking. And I asked myself, what happens when Nick and Nora never had sex? Okay. That you see.
We're answering questions over here.
They would go to bed.
Right.
But there was never any sex. So
maybe it was like fade to black.
Yeah, it would fade to black. You kind of had an idea what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm gonna put it on page, and they were,
Yeah.
and she realized he was a little kinky, and she was happy to teach him some new things about his pleasures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
So that one's erotic. And at that point I went, I guess I can write erotic literature. So for me, it was about not limiting myself with I can't write that because I'm not an
that.
expert,
Mm-hmm.
or that's not my brand. My brand is all over the map,
Yeah.
which is why, it's impossible to say she's a rom-com. She's only historical. Historical is really very much part of what I do, and if I can blend the two, I will. But when I decided to start writing, I decided to never limit myself,
Mm.
but always to come back to the historical
Yeah.
romance at some point in some
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So,
And do
So
you feel? Oh,
no, you
sorry.
go on, Cece.
yeah. I was gonna say. And do you feel like all of your plots are kind of based off of historical? Like when you come up with your ideas, and it seems like a lot of
That's a good question.
Shakespeare influences you.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he
I
does.
mean, they're worse. There's a
Well,
lot of
see
they're
here,
worse inspirations to have
yeah,
when it comes to especially when you're talking about like mysteries and like murders. She's
I
like
know.
listing these plays, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of stabbing in that. There's a lot of stabbing in these plays. Like, a lot of
The
bodies showing up.
the playwright that I really would like to really just tear open is Christopher Marlowe, because his
Mm.
plays are ruthless, they're tragic. The man never wrote anything comic.
Wow.
Okay, never. But some of his stuff is very comical.
Mm.
But one of the reasons why Shakespeare has influenced a lot of my writing, especially the
Mhm.
historical, um, is I'm going to make up a word, de-reverence Willie,
Okay.
because people feel like they um, have to remain true to his text in order to recalibrate, you know. Um, in the is it which one is it? Did I do? No, I didn't do a Romeo and Juliet. I'm gonna have to do one. In the Othello one, um, Othello and Cassio get married because Othello
Interesting.
is trans,
Oh.
but
I love that.
not because they didn't have the wherewithal to,
Right.
do
They wouldn't have had to go
surgery
through
and
that.
medication and
Yeah.
all that. Well, they did. It was called transvestite.
Oh.
Interesting.
And a
Interesting.
transvestite was an individual who dressed and behaved as the opposite gender, or as they would say, as the opposite sex.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you'd have men as transvestites and women as transvestites. Cross-dressing is when you merely wear the clothes.
Yeah, you just want
Not live.
you're just here for the
You did
plot. Like
not
you're not
live the
really.
existence.
Yeah, you're not here for the lifestyle. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And so for the transvestite, you lived the existence. Okay.
Mhm.
Intersex was hermaphrodite
Right.
because you were both.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Um, so there was always a way
Uh-huh.
in which I felt people locked into a Shakespeare play with a certain ideology that didn't allow them to completely understand often the history that went into some of these plays.
Yeah, I have a question. So with respect to transvestites in like the Elizabethan era, what was like do you have any insight into like what their lives were like? Like, were they like actively persecuted? Did they have, or were
If they
they
were
able,
found out,
if they were found out? So if they were doing it at home, no, but like it was like you would chill.
oh, there were stories about, and these were, of course, fantastic. No, not fantastic, but they were like uh, breaking news kind of stuff in this period. And they usually centered on the women because um, there was an expectation about how men who might be feminine, who could still be men,
Okay.
could go about in the world. King James the First, you know.
Yes.
All right. He
I
could go
forgot
about
about
the
him. Yeah,
world. And
he was a
yeah,
lot.
he
He
was
was doing
very
a
much a
lot.
lot.
He was doing a lot.
But the women were perceived as more problematic. And
Mm-hmm.
so if they found out about women, often it was only after they were dead
Mm.
and it came time to bury them. And then lo and behold, you discovered they didn't have a penis.
Is it because of the access? Would you say it was because of like the access to power? Like if a man cross dresses as a woman, it's a problem, but it's not like he's getting access to like like, but with a woman, if she's pretending to be a man, she
Oh,
now
she
has way more agency that she's theoretically not
that she
supposed to
would have
have
been
access
born
to.
with. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. It's like
absolutely.
sumptuary laws. Like sumptuary laws allow you to sort of like cosplay as, not that transvestites are doing that, but like sumptuary laws would be a thing where it's like you it allows you to sort of cosplay as like as a social rank that you don't have. Right.
Exactly.
And yeah.
However, the poor could never cosplay.
Well, of course, yeah.
The working class could never cosplay.
Yeah.
They had to be upper class.
It was the up and coming capitalist
Yeah.
class, okay,
Knocking
who
on
were
that glass ceiling.
producing the income,
Yeah.
doing all the work in, okay, which one is it? It is Elizabethan mischief. The Black family, the Rezons, are a tailoring family,
Mm.
and they're a very wealthy tailoring family, according to my story. And um, uh, they could weave linen and cotton to appear like silk because they're
Loopholes.
African. They were African
Hmm.
peoples who ended up in England and had practiced a trade and apprenticed this trade in England,
Hmm.
and then developed their own trade, became members of the guild or the company, and could, and made money and did whatever. So the idea that you weren't allowed to wear silk was complicated because if you had the money, you could do it, and you just pay the fine.
That's the other
Okay,
thing. Yeah.
you pay the fine. The other issue is unless someone really knew tailoring and manufacturing, an ordinary person, even an ordinary aristocrat, might not be able to tell the difference between the silk that's woven out of silk
Hmm.
and a silken fabric woven
Hmm.
out of linen.
Interesting. I
So
love that.
um, I play around with the sumptuary laws where, my Black families go out into the world with fine garments. What they don't do outside is cross the color line attached to sumptuary laws because there were
Okay.
certain colors that you couldn't wear.
You couldn't
But
wear.
in their
Yeah. Like
homes,
purple, I think was one of them. Was purple
purple
still one
was
of
one of
those?
them, royal
Yeah.
blue.
Hmm.
Um, I've forgotten a couple of the others, but in their homes, okay, because they were still African,
Hmm.
they were culturally African in the privacy of their homes.
Yeah, they do
They
what they
wore
gotta
their
do.
African garments and they would be the colors.
Yeah.
They'd be colorful.
Now, what
Um.
So
happened with
you
the
got two cultures And what I tried to do, and again, in Elizabethan mischief, also less so in the cock and oyster, I'm in A Heart's Gift, which is also part of the Rizon family, also Elizabethan. In that one, I bring that fashion in there. So
Now,
I had to do a little work, research, but I knew where to go.
yeah. Now, Elizabeth, why couldn't they wear certain colors though?
Oh, that's a medieval thing. Y'all need to talk to medievalists clearly about that. And we just inherited, but I can tell you, sort of maybe. It had to do with being able to recognize class position.
Gotcha.
Okay. So if we think about capitalism now, one of the things that's driving the capitalists bonkers is there are a lot of non-capitalist people with tons of money who can dress exactly like capitalists, own the same stuff, live next door to them, move in the same circles and everything because it's money. It's not genealogy or lineage. It's not your property. And so those colors and those fabrics were deemed, one, very costly to make and therefore beyond the financial ability of lower classes. And therefore, you protected them. And there were people who were great actors, and who could, walk into a court and behave just like any courtier, and you'd never know it. And a lot of people who spoke French or Italian were coming up with these bogus titles. I'm the Contessa of X, and they would come to court. Yes, yes. And they would come into the court and be wined and dined and feted and given money and jewels and all this other stuff. And, there are courtesans from Venice who's well educated. How do you protect, those divisions? How do you make sure that people don't belong? And therefore you recognize and they recognize that they don't belong. So you create those laws in that way.
It's like power, right? It's like protecting that access.
It's a power.
It's protecting the access to power. Yeah.
It's also protecting the access, not only to power, but to land. Because you don't want your son marrying a woman who fakes a genealogy and then brings nothing into it. Because once the marriage happens, it's very difficult to divorce.
And also with your daughter, right? Like your daughter could also end up like married to some idiot who's like pretending to be like, not to get mad at Alexandre Dumas, I love him, but what if your daughter marries the Count of Monte Cristo and there is no secret stash, right?
Thank you.
And now all of a sudden your property, like this dowry that your daughter was given that you worked for,
there is no dowry
to this jerk, and it's just like,
and remember, for the most part, there was no divorce.
Yeah.
Right.
So
this is before Henry VIII.
You before Henry VIII. All right.
Henry VIII didn't do anything. And like it's so hard. This is the other thing that people don't understand. It's so hard to get it.
If he got her pregnant and she had a son,
that's it.
That's it. Okay?
That's a wrap.
So what you end up doing, which is what my grandfather did in Elizabethan mischief, his son married a Black woman.
Okay.
Had the twin daughters.
One white, one Black.
One white, one Black. The father, he was part of a diplomatic mission. The father recalled the son from his idyllic life in the countryside with his wife and his newborn children, sent him off to Ireland to fight the Irish, arranged for him to die. Yes, I'm sorry, plot point. That's okay. That's the
I was just
minor.
thinking, I was like, that's a real low down dirty thing to do. He's just like, we can fix this. Like,
And he,
just
hey,
get rid of him. You're
I
fighting
love,
everybody. We might as well use it.
Might as
yeah,
well.
I love villains. All right, I love villains.
Same.
Just like, oh, give me a good villain and I'm a happy girl. I know. And if
I
I
love
could
that stuff.
redeem, if
I
I
like
can,
villains.
if I can redeem that villain
Yes.
and then kill him, I'm also still a happy girl.
And then kill him.
That's a 2-for-1 right there.
Thank
That
you.
is, yeah.
So
I like women villains, and I just want them to be happy.
Nah, you
I
gotta
just wish
wipe them
people
out.
would let. I like women villains because I'm just like just let people be let women be villains.
Yeah, let
I'm
them be
so I'm like I feel like there's so much. I feel like there's been in the interest of feminist like a feminist approach. You don't want women to be
Who they are.
villainized. Right. You want women to be who they are. But the
Right.
thing is like you don't want to present women to be like bad because she likes sex, or she's bad
Right.
because she decided to own a property, or like something like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is typically what you ended up doing, right? So then it became this thing of like, no, anytime a woman's holding on to property, it's for moral reasons, it's for good reasons. And so I'm like, no, she could also be a bitch, but you don't know until we dive into the character. Like
That's right.
everything doesn't have to be like, and I'm like, and you could have a tragic backstory. Doesn't make
Yeah.
you a good person. Doesn't
No.
excuse your behavior. Like
Yep.
we can discuss it, right?
Right.
So I feel like, which is why, like in mine, I'm like, no, she gonna be evil. Like she gonna be gross. Like let her live in her truth. It's not everybody who's doing this because it's like like this. I'm like, this is historical, right? Everybody has a
Yeah.
tragic backstory with Papa, right? Like, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you get to use it to
That's
like.
right.
Abuse everybody else, and that doesn't always give you the license.
That's right.
To get a path back, right?
When someone abuses power, because the grandfather is involved in the plot against Elizabeth.
Yeah.
To kill her.
Okay.
Because she's old and they want her off the throne and they want
I
to
was
bring
like, I was gonna say which Elizabeth? Like
Yeah.
Elizabeth the First?
I
Like
only
Elizabeth?
work with one Elizabeth.
And she's like, well, I didn't know
Tudor.
if there was, what he
I only
said.
work with
Elizabeth
one.
Tudor, that there's only one. There can only
I
be
was
one.
just double checking. I was just double checking the because I couldn't remember the names of the girls. If one of them was named. So when you said the plot against Elizabeth,
I was like, the black sister.
that's why I was like, you mean like one of the heroines Elizabeth, or like the Queen Bess Elizabeth?
And the other one is Catherine.
Okay.
And it's Queen Elizabeth. She's dying, okay? It's the end of her reign, and they just want to expedite her departure and bring James in because she's already agreed, to do it. And so there are power struggles. And this is historically
accurate. Yeah.
Fact. No, I don't do accuracy. Factual in terms of documentation. That there were factions trying to figure out how to control James in order to solidify their power. There were people who were deeply concerned about the rise of Catholicism again in England at the beginning of the 17th century. And for Protestants, it was very worrying because, you had basically during the reign of Mary Tudor, Mary the First, just wiping out Protestants. Yeah. Elizabeth did her share of wiping out. Did. And people don't like to admit it.
When they were talking smack, she was like, "Oh, we can discuss this."
Oh
like,
yeah.
She would take it to hell in a second. She was like, "All you gotta do is come with it." She was a true Virgo. She was like, "I'm not gonna stop the fight, but we can finish it for sure."
Exactly. And for her, she didn't care really about religion. She was about absolute power. And what she realized is that as a Protestant, it was easier for her to manipulate power dynamics to stay unmarried than if she had been a Catholic. Because the Protestants refused a Catholic consort.
Yes.
Okay. They would tolerate a Protestant one. So they were okay for Elizabeth to do this stuff. It was, the Catholic ones, and then France, Spain, mostly France and Spain, who were pushing. So the grandfather is involved in a plot to wipe her out. The daughters get wind of the plot and they decide to save the queen. They become rescuers. They meet their love interest, Margaret. Her love interest is the ambassador from Morocco. And what I did was I'd long known about the Moroccan ambassador's visit to Elizabeth's court. So I decided to play on that one. And it was the right moment. I kind of squished it up a year or two, but it was the right moment for Meg and Muhammad to get together.
Yeah.
And then Catherine, who is wealthy in and of itself, with the Rezans, who are this wealthy tailoring family, her love interest, been together for years. And the issue with the Rezans, with the way in which I represented, no daughter married before 18. All right.
Okay.
And then whoever she married, it was her choice, regardless of wealth. And that was a liberating issue for the two sisters in an interesting way, because Margaret grew up in the court under her grandfather's strong arming, and then she would have been married to anyone. And she would not have had anything to say about it. All right. So, a lot of that history worked its way in there. And we're seeing these two rules, competing with each other. The end of the book, and I'm jumping all the way forward.
Yeah.
The end of the book, the two sisters become villains.
They become
villains.
Oh. Okay.
And I ain't gonna tell you.
I was about to ask.
I know you were. She's over here swearing. I saw that. She's like,
I was like,
if you ask, I'll tell you. If you don't mind a spoiler. You want the spoiler?
I don't want to ruin it for anyone else.
Fine. I'm over here like, I don't care. Cece's like, don't ruin it. Like, y'all need to buy the book is what y'all need to do.
That's right. I don't want to ruin it for the people watching.
Buy the book and figure out why the protagonists become villains. I'm like, I'm just like, are they villains or are they like antagonists?
Unless they like kill Elizabeth themselves. No.
She's old. She's had a good inning. She's fine. I'm joking.
No. She is the power that enables the two sisters to achieve their happy ever after.
Oh, good.
Okay, I love it. We're still good Queen Bess here. We're still pro Team Elizabeth over here.
I understand her. She was really Machiavellian, and I appreciate that. And a lot of people don't fully understand Machiavelli's The Prince and his other political stuff. And if you understand him, you'd understand why Elizabeth appeals to me.
Yeah, because I think like with Elizabeth, which is also like part of what I like about my male characters, I kind of like them to have a little bit of that cold-bloodedness, because it's like, especially in the time period that you're talking about,
right?
The idea of like, oh, we'll just do democracy and everybody can do what they want. Like, it's a nice idea, but when you don't have in that time period, especially when you're talking about Machiavelli and talking about Elizabeth I, the only thing people really understand at this point in time is an absolute monarch. It is absolute and power and control over the levels of power
and hierarchy.
Yes, that is what maintains order and saves lives. Yeah. Like you allow things to slip and you allow things to get loosey goosey, and that is literally how you have people like these civilians, like that's how they all die. That's how you have war. That's how you have civil war. That's how you have all this kind of stuff.
That's
So
exactly right.
unfortunately, being a jerk is the way to keep people alive. So if you got to decapitate a few, uppity noblemen, you're being nice if you decapitate them. You have no idea.
Okay, so only the aristocracy and the nobility were accorded the privilege of being beheaded.
Yeah, the rest of them got
everybody else were burnt at the stake or hanged.
Okay.
Or hung, drawn, and quartered.
And then drawn and quartered. They were hung,
like they would be coming up. They would be coming up with ways to kill people to make examples of them. And you know what the goddamn of it is? If you were noble, you got the privilege of an axe or a sword, but there was no guarantee that sucker was like sharp.
Exactly.
So these suckers
they didn't have the guillotine then, and that's the fundamental difference. And why modern capitalism actually started pushing people towards democracy who had the power, because they were like, oh shit, that thing's sharp. Heads go, okay, you know what? You guys are right. I'm gonna help you. Let me open these vaults for you. Let me give you some money.
I'm sitting on them like, you wanted a sharp axe. You did not want that man hacking at you with like 3 different tries. I'm like, sir, please.
When your head is like half hanging off and you're in pain and you just
I'm gonna need you to commit to this and like get it done, because I can't be doing all this. I'm
falling in that basket, and it's
like, oh my god.
And then the other issue is, what is interesting is what happens after the English Civil War, because then you start seeing that those democratic thoughts emerge. And so people would begin to push against the boundaries, and especially, again, the capitalist class would just, oh, that's what that was. Sorry.
Oh, that's great.
My phone was going off, and I have earpods.
Oh, gotcha.
And they were over there vibrating, and I'm like, what the heck?
Like, what do you want?
Like, exactly. People leave me alone. And then the other issue is, you always wonder, do I have a little toy in here? Oh, speaking of, there are toys in the Cock and Oyster.
I love this.
Oh,
like we are going to get back to that, because we have to like.
Yeah, you guys need to shut me up. I already told you.
No. So I think we've discussed to a certain degree Elizabethan mischief, right?
To a certain degree, but I did have one thing about it, because I was very interested. Did you find any, like, for your research for that one, did you find anything that showed you or had an example of twins that were born 2 different colors like that? Like one black.
Yes. There is this wonderful book, and it circulated well into the 18th century.
Oh, okay.
And it was by an author, a French author named Ambrose Pare, Pare with a slash. And the idea, and what he does is he talks, it's all scientific, and he talks reproduction and blah, blah, blah. And they, of course, go back to the Greeks and the Romans with medical information and issues around reproduction, around the human anatomy, around everything. And Pare, and then others both before and after, had written about these cases where women were giving birth to children who didn't look like either the mother or the father. And often those children were Black or animalistic looking. And so what the pre-modern scientists did was to explain it as part of the female imagination, which we know. We have more imagination than men do, of course, according to these people. And therefore we are more susceptible to being influenced by this. And so there were all kinds of recommendations. And then there was a specific case of an an interracial marriage between an African and a European woman, or, black and white, where they actually had twins, and one was born looking like the father, one was born looking like the mother. You still have those situations now.
Wow.
In England, there was a couple where that happened. If you look at uh, uh, when, what is her name? She was in Precious.
Oh,
Gabrielle.
Yes. So,
Gabby's
last name.
Anyway,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like it's CDK or something.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes. Her twins, when they were first born, one was darker than the other one, and it was like,
Yes.
and it took them a while to begin to develop, but that difference in coloration still exists.
Mhm.
So this is something that has been written about for centuries.
Wow.
And because I'm weird and I like
I
to
love
read
it.
things, and in romance, again, we're going to come back to the romance genre.
Yes.
An early text that I had read called the Ethiopia, which was very influential as a romance narrative across England. The king and queen of Ethiopia, on a hot summer evening, decided to take their rest and have their pleasure. And she had been trying to get pregnant, and it was the right time of the month, etc. And in her bedroom was a painting or a tapestry of Andromeda, who is always represented as white, but who is actually Ethiopian.
An Ethiopian princess, yeah.
Yeah. And she looked at Andromeda, and lo and behold, conception happened, and the queen gave birth to a white baby and freaked out. Because baby didn't look like her and her husband. Didn't even look like her. It didn't look like either of them.
Yeah.
However, because it's a romance and it's fun, the child was smart, had the same birthmark as the father, but the mother arranged for the eunuch to take the child away. And basically, they used to expose, when the child wasn't quite right for the family structure. But gave the eunuch a bunch of money, asked the eunuch to make sure the child remained safe. The eunuch went to, I believe, ended up in Athens, I believe, with the child, exposed the child, left the child outside. The child was adopted by a Greek, raised Greek because she was white presenting. All right. That
Little
was
did they know.
major influence in romance narratives. So I knew about that.
Okay.
And so I decided to come back to that and play around with it. And originally I was going to just have one daughter. And then I went, no, let's make them twins.
Yes.
So that's how that was born.
We know how genetics works. Like
we really do.
Which is what makes it so much fun, because you can really have it just be like, no, that's your kid.
Amazing.
That's your kid. That's just how it works
That's
out. So it's fun.
Yeah.
And so the Ethiopian princess ended up back in Ethiopia because for lots of stuff, it's a romance, and she was all over the map. And the mother recognized the jewelry that she wore. She was brought by her Greek father because he was doing some sort of embassy to the court. And the mother recognized the jewelry that the daughter wore and knew it was her daughter. The Greek adoptive father had letters that the mother had written.
Oh.
Yeah.
The eunuch came forth and said, this is what happened. The king was like, no. And then the mother said, she has your mark. He pulled up the arm on the same arm. They had the same birthmark, and he knew that was his daughter.
Nice.
So she became Queen of
did,
Ethiopia, married to he wasn't Greek. What was he from? Was he Thessalonian? No, he wasn't Thessalonian. He was something. But he was also white, presenting,
Yeah.
But the issue also for me was in the past, the anxiety over whiteness and blackness as extremes that people have to mediate. The closer you are to whiteness, the better. The closer you are to blackness, the worse.
The worse.
In many ways, while that was important, colorism was important, was class. And people don't understand that because we've obliterated traditional understandings of class.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why the daughters were effectively protected because they were noble.
Yeah.
Which informed Elizabeth's decisions at the end of the book.
Yeah.
They were nobility. Their grandfather, what did I have him? Was he an earl? I think he was an earl. Which meant the father would have been an earl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which meant that they would be, countess. But I also let Elizabeth do her racist shit. So
yeah.
I was like, I mean, we support her rights and her wrongs, but she's like,
to a degree, represent her as she was. She was historically problematic.
Yeah, I don't think she was, but again, I don't think she's any more so than like anybody else in the world or any other ruler at the time.
No, or even later,
Yeah.
I mean, all of them from Charles II forward, every English monarch, every French monarch, every Western, not Eastern Europe, but Western European political authority benefited from the Atlantic enslavement trade.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How are they any different than her? She benefited from it.
She sure did.
In smaller ways.
Stealing from Spanish.
Stealing from the Spanish. That's what I love about that woman.
And I'm like, because low-key, they stole it too. So
it's like they're all stealing from each other.
If you're stealing from a thief,
are you a thief?
It's a thief. You're not a thief. You're
not.
You're just
you're redistributing. What?
You're righting the wrong.
You're writing it
I'm like, how you gonna be a thief who don't know how to hold on to your stuff? That's a different question. I'm like, maybe you need more cannons on your ship, right? And then Philip took that personally.
All right. Philip took that personally. Speaking of cannons on your ship,
yes,
and my hang up on dealing with the Elizabethans, and I really am done. No, I'm not. I'm not done with the Elizabethans yet, but I know
you got that one more book. No, that's going to be the
Jacobean is Jacobean, and that's part different of that series. But I'm writing a paranormal Elizabethan.
Oh, you didn't mention it.
Well, because I haven't started it yet.
Okay.
I'm working on it. See, in this brain there are like
give me a minute.
So many things.
Give me a minute, CC.
Sorry. But A Heart's Gift is set during the Armada.
Okay.
And it is a Black romance. And it deals specifically with the same family as Elizabethan Mischief, but earlier.
Okay.
And so Isaac as a navigator, as well as being a member of this prominent Black tailoring family. Penelope is a member of a goldsmith family. So her father's a jeweler. She designs jewelry and he makes it. So her pieces are very desirable among the nobility, the aristocrats, etc., and middle-class folks. It's the Odyssey. I rewrote the Odyssey as
Oh,
a Black historical epistolary romance.
okay.
Interesting.
It's short, it's a novella.
Uh-huh.
Isaac is captured by the Spanish. They discover that he's a navigator.
Mhm.
He speaks Spanish. And the Spanish captain tells him either he serves as his navigator for a year. He compromises. He says, he's lying to him, of course, but he says,
Mm.
serve as a year or I will sell you into enslavement.
Oh,
And that's probably another reason why a lot of people don't like my books because I deal with the facts.
you
I
deal
do
with it
not
though.
I do not pretend that,
It
this
didn't
is
happen.
all, love and joy. That Black people were walking around England in various places.
Right.
Black people were professionals. Black people were enslaved. Black people were servants. And so he agrees because his thing is he promised Penelope he would return. So he's written letters to her. She's written letters to him. And through the merchant trade, because England was doing a lot of trade with Morocco. And the Rizon family is from Mauritania and ended up residing, members of the families ended up in Morocco as part of the cloth trade. So there's a lot of movement of letters and whatnot to get back. So when he's writing to her, he doesn't know that, she's writing to him, but she is. So when he gets to Morocco, he finds her letters and blah, blah,
Oh,
blah. I may rewrite that and make it longer. Um, but he ends up in the New World and comes back, and then he fakes illness because the Spanish and the English don't really do herbal stuff. They're really not into traditional medicines. So he gets sick. They take him to a Moroccan physician, and then he slips away and he makes his way back just in time to prevent Penelope from being forced to marry. So it really is the Odyssey there. And I
yeah.
wrote that.
Who's on time?
Yeah.
And was
Yeah.
So,
that a year or was it longer?
sorry,
Did the captain keep him a year or longer?
1 year.
1 year. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a sign. That's a
Um,
contract.
yeah. And
So,
it was intended as a holiday novella because I was invited to be part of a collection
Mhm.
that, you know, life got in the way for everyone.
mm,
And so I was like, I'll just put this aside and do something else. And then I came back to it. But that one deals not just with enslavement, it deals with women having choice in a marriage,
mhm.
women being independent.
Mhm.
Penelope has an abortion
Oh wow.
because she gets pregnant
Yeah.
and she refuses to let another man raise Isaac's child.
Oh, interesting.
And Aisha, who is the female main character in The Cock and Oyster, um, is Isaac's sister. And she's wild. She's hilarious. She's a wild woman. I love her. Um, and her aunt, who is Isaac's father's sister, um, she's um, she does traditional African medicine. She's an herbalist. She's all of this. So she takes care of Penelope, makes sure she's okay, gives her the medicinal stuff to, to abort the child.
Okay.
Mm,
Um, and make sure she comes out, healthy and stuff and so on. And then um uh uh Amara shows up in The Cock and Oyster as Aisha's aunt, and then she shows up and she's also Isabel's mother, who is the female protagonist in Jacobean Misconduct. So there's a kind of, deep connection
Yeah.
of African culture and African ways that are built into these characters that live alongside the English tradition. And so working class women and laboring women know to go to
You
Aisha
should. Yeah.
or to Amara or to Isabel, for things.
Yeah.
Isabel becomes the owner of the Cock and Moisture in the book. She becomes a brothel owner, but she also makes wigs
Okay.
for the court because she refuses to work in the family business per se. And
Mhm.
she's a brilliant wig maker, and so her wigs are in demand. And so, just doing little things like that, you can realign things for
Yeah.
people when they're reading
Is it?
and decenter
Yeah.
a kind of aristocratic expectation without losing nobility.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because a
Is
lot
that?
of people don't realize that many Africans who were brought into Europe and who were transplanted to the Americas were often of a noble class or trade,
Mm,
expert trade people. And the Europeans
yeah.
learned this and they went after those individuals. So
Mm.
in England, they could they were apprenticed or generally they were bought as employees and often they would get the money to you know buy their freedom
Are they
because
freedom?
as
Yeah.
an apprentice you couldn't buy your freedom
Yeah.
and then join the guild.
Yeah.
And with capitalism, so that by the time you get to the 18th and 19th century,
Yeah.
you know the dynamics have changed.
Yeah.
But in England, you still had apprenticeships, and you still
Yeah.
had black people, Asian people, the
Mhm.
few native people who were in residence, finding their lives and doing well for themselves as part of a up and coming laboring class.
Yeah. That's
So
kind of how. Do you think that? So was that? Is that one of those things that you, when you're as an author, when you're writing, when you have this background in history, and you understand like these sort of
Scary.
like minutia. It's fun, but to me, like that's what makes it exciting, right? Because you have all this like you have all this insight
awareness.
into
Yeah.
awareness into how things are moving, and then is that like fun to then like try to find a way to weave that into this
Yeah.
novel and like present this information to your sort of like sneak it into your audience and just be like, these
Right.
are things
You
that are
know,
happening, you
see,
know?
I think here's the fun part about writing historicals.
Mm.
We don't have to sneak it
Right.
because
Okay.
that's our world. I mean, all right, so here's how I got seriously into writing fiction. Um, Kathleen Woodowes was for a lot of authors at the time that I decided I was going to do a historical. Um, her stuff was deeply problematic. They had rapes that became loving marriages, enslavement. She moved
Mm.
to the States, plantation representation, etc.
That is problematic.
It is very problematic. People don't want to read it, but it was a moment in history where women's sexuality was taken seriously and where women were seen as loved as partners and less as objects of a marriage. Okay. Then I read, and this failed me. Okay. She will always be my favorite, my absolute favorite white historical romance author,
Mhm.
Lisa Kleypas.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, continue. You're amongst friends here. Keep going.
Go ahead.
All right. That woman just sucked me in, put me on a chair, and said, "You're mine."
Yeah, right?
She understood class in ways that a lot of writers kind of before her didn't. It wasn't even that they didn't understand it. It was the representation. Representation wasn't handled, in my opinion, as skillfully as she did.
Right, yeah.
And the
Because
nuance that's in there.
and not in a nuanced way, but openly. She represented class conflict of capitalism.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the gypsies, and she definitely.
Yeah. So like to me, like Lisa Kleypas is like the historical romances like answer to like Elizabeth Gaskell. Like to me, like that's also to me like in a real way the real difference between Elizabeth Gaskell and like say Jane Austen. Both are awesome, but Elizabeth Gaskell gets into it. She's like, this is the effect. Yeah, and she's going to show you both sides. She's going to show you this is what you can get from capitalism and industrialization and all kinds of stuff. This is the cost.
Yes.
And she leaves it up to the like she put like North and South. Like I mean North and South, you have like all these different ones, you know. But like North and South is the one that everybody's singing of because of Richard Armitage and like, you know, Mr. Thornton. But like immediately. But like that is it. Yeah.
But she also, what she did and what she captured, in my opinion, which I'm like, oh my God. She understands the way in which capitalism and the aristocracy or the nobility really solidified itself as one class, the capitalist class. It really started in the 15th, 16th century. It just was a long transition until the 18th century. And as the capitalist machinery really kind of took off, then you get to see all of the patriarchal ideologies about marriage start to be kind of recalibrated. All right. Where women would start to run away, where women would refuse, where women would say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. Or in the end, if someone came up and said, you're going to be my wife.
Right.
And your daddy's poor and I got enough money, Simon Hunt. I got enough money to buy your daddy. I love Simon Hunt.
I was thinking of like, I'm so sorry for cutting you off, but I'm also thinking of like watershed characters with respect to the capitalism and the nobility, like Westcliff, right? Because Westcliff is one of those characters that
no.
Westcliff is because
the end result.
Yes, because he is a noble where his family is old, but he understands that there's no future for the nobility without capitalism. You gotta get in there and make some money, or you're gonna be broke, and nobody cares about your title when you're broke.
And he's like, I have a responsibility to the people attached to this land. I have a responsibility to this land. I have a responsibility to my family, and so on. But you know who my man is?
Who?
Is it Sebastian?
Is it?
He's my second.
Okay, that's my man.
Okay, so who's your man? Is it Cam?
Is it Winterbourne? Oh no, it's Cam.
It's Cam Rohan. Cam Rohan is my man.
He is like the quintessential capitalist, way more than Simon Hunt is.
Thank you.
Cam, that's all Cam does. All Cam does is investments. That's it.
Yes. But he's also about design and about the engineer. He is the intellectual capitalist.
Yes.
Simon Hunt is the monetary capitalist, if we think about it. All right. Because Cam does the research and stuff. Sebastian is the old guy who says, I am
marry so much, girl. Because I'm broke.
And he says, I am broke.
I'm broke.
I'm going to do this. And you know what? I'm going to live my life the way I've always lived my life, but I'm going to make money.
Yes.
And so when he takes over the casino and transforms it
The gaming,
into these men's clubs and brings
Yeah.
in both sides, and he begins to understand what's going on, he doesn't
Yep.
lose himself. So that's why
No.
he's number
He does
two.
not.
He's
But
number
that's what I
two.
also love. That's what I also love about her is that none of these men forget who they are.
No, they
Even
That's
don't.
absolutely right.
no matter how
Yes.
things
Yes.
adjust. Like
Yes.
Westcliff knows that he is an uptight aristocrat and he will stand on
He
business on that
stands
shit.
on business.
He will.
knows he's uptight.
Sebastian knows that he is a coddled little brat
He's
prince,
coddled,
and he
he's a brat.
stands on business
Yeah.
with
He was
respect to
he
that.
was a hoe.
He
He
is
no
good.
longer is.
Yo, like Westcliff is
The
like, I need to make money
the
because I have a
man was a hoe.
responsibility. Hey,
He just channeled it to one woman.
He channeled to
Okay.
one woman. That was it.
No,
He
She
said,
rocked
"You're
the
gonna be the
world.
woman in my bed,
Yep.
yo,
and I'm gonna make sure that your bed is always comfortable
Yep.
because I'm
hey,
taking over your daddy's
I'm
business."
taking your
sure
daddy's
is.
And
business.
then
He sure
We
is.
in
was
this
just talking
day,
about
he
this the
is a
other day.
gangster.
Because
He is a gangster.
yeah,
Oh my
Sebastian
God,
is
that's
built.
something I
He's
have
like,
to write.
I am not built for hard labor, so I need
No,
this
I'm
money
not
because
built
I
for hard
cannot
labor.
be on these streets.
Thank
I'm
you.
supposed
Okay.
to be Duke. My
I'm
dad just
too
don't die.
pretty. I'm too pretty
Sebastian
to
knew. He was
suffer.
like, I'm delicate. I can't.
I can't.
Too pretty to suffer.
I was born to be a Duke.
Women. However, he wasn't, he says, I have no ethics. I have no morals.
I
And
didn't know.
yes, I will kidnap
Lydia.
someone for money.
Lydia,
Bro,
what was her name?
Wickham. Bro's over here like, I got an end goal. We need to
I got
sort
an
this
end goal.
out. Sort it out. It was so funny. Yeah, like Cece and I were talking about how Sebastian, I was like, he's a moron. That's what he is, low key. Because
Yeah.
like he has, because I'm just like, bro, you could like the way you have the
Inbreeding
face
does that
of like,
too sometimes.
I'm like, you have the face of a god, and they're like rich
He's
chicks
a
all over
moron.
this planet. And you would find the one that you know Westcliff looking at. Like, why would you do that? There's all the rest of them.
He's just like,
Go
I'm
find
gonna go
them.
do something.
Yep.
Like, it's so weird. I'm like, it's such a weird choice, especially with like
But
Lillian. I'm
you
like,
know what?
bro,
What she
your
did
her dad and her mom like you. Like, why would you kidnap her? Just talk
Wait a
to the
minute.
parents. Like,
No. What it was,
he's a moron.
what she did brilliantly with the Wallflowers series.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She does it with all of them, but oh, I'm hearing an
It does
echo.
stand out. Come again?
It
Oh,
was
okay.
for a minute. There was an echo for a second. I think it
Okay.
was.
Oh, okay.
That might have been me. What she does is she shows you quintessentially American femininity
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the century. I mean, with the Wallflowers. So the Americans are. Is that me?
Yeah, it came back, but
I'm
Let me
not
see.
hearing any echoes.
you're not okay. It's a little.
No,
It's you and me that's hearing it.
you're the
Okay,
problem.
I will try
I'm
it.
just joking.
And anyway, so what she does is she gives us the American femininity at the end of the century, where they're the women are educated, they're marginally enlightened, they have choice, but the father says you have to marry, and he wants to move them up because that's the ambition of Americans during the robber baron age,
Yeah.
is to marry up.
Right.
Sebastian is quintessentially aristocratic, the old aristocratic,
Oh, yeah.
the aristocratic who is like, oh, capitalism. Ugh. I love your
It's
money,
dirtying
but
my
ugh,
hands.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to dirty my hands
Yeah.
unless I'm forced to.
Unless I'm
But
forced.
that comes later,
Yeah.
and
Much later.
and then you have the English femininity who will do whatever mom and dad says,
Mm.
even though their heart's not into it. Okay. And because mom and dad are usually very, very poor, they're land rich, money poor, or as they used to say, land poor, money poor. They end up being sold to the highest bidder. Okay. Which is still part of a weird kind of aristocratic ideology. Right? So you bring an infusion of cash to maintain the land. What I find interesting with Westcliff is he doesn't need that infusion of cash.
Right.
He already has figured out in his own little quirky way that capitalism is interesting and he wants to sort of pursue it. And that's his relationship with Cam. Okay? Because Cam is an investor and so on. So, it's there. Yeah, okay, he's part Irish and part Gypsy and whatever.
Yeah.
He's got a mind, and we like that.
Yeah.
And so you bring them there. And then you have Winterborn. Now, I love Winterborn.
I love Winterborn.
I was like, now you guys are Cecilia's man.
Okay. I need to read the book.
He's my second favorite, but St. Vincent is my first. And then
I understand. I need to read. I've read it twice. I need to read it again.
I'm probably
Winterborn is Winterborn is the Wild Wild West. Robber baron.
Yeah.
The guy who was an orphan, apprenticed to a man who basically, enslaved him. He got free and said, nobody's ever going to have any control over me ever again. And I'm going to get what I want. And he is ruthless and he understands the nature of power. He is not interested in political power per se. He's interested in just power. And I love that about him.
Yeah.
Because he's rough. He will always be rough.
Yeah.
All right. And
but he loves Helen.
Yeah. And Helen just, she's on that pedestal. She's not fragile. And he's aware of that. But he wants to treat her like that because
at first he wanted to treat her like that until she tells him,
stop.
Yeah, stop.
But he wants to do that because he still has the fundamental insecurity that kept him alive as his poor kid, making it good. Okay? Yeah. So we have that. He wasn't born into wealth. If you think about Westcliff, if you think about Sebastian, if you think about in her other novels, which I read all, I own outside of the Wallflowers, I read her other stuff. She's there, oh God, it's on my Kindle, but Sophia's Lover, is that what it is? Yeah. She's an aristocrat. Her brother spent time in prison. Remember?
He went to Jesus. What is his name? I know you're talking about.
Okay.
But it's part of a trilogy.
Open it up. I can't remember.
Because his is the last book is where you get into the brother, and that's when you first meet Westcliff.
Yep.
Because it's something's choice or something like that.
It's Sophia's love.
Yeah, it's Lady Sophia's lover, and then it's Worth Any Price, and that's with Lottie, I think. Yes, and and Westcliff actually proposes to her because her brother, Sophia's brother, gets sent to hunt down Lottie because she's trying to run away from a marriage with her family. Yes. So they send him, and he goes to get her. And Westcliff, and she's like a maid or something. And when Westcliff finds out, he's just like, "Well, you're not going back to your creepy ass parents. Like, maybe I should marry you. Like, if somebody needs to," he's like, "Because you need to marry." And he says that because he's like, I'm somebody that they can't argue with. They can't debate it with me. But if the dude marries her, then he's like, they can talk shit to you. Like, they can't talk shit to me. And then the guy is like, yeah, no, I'm going to marry her. And he's like, I have enough money. I'm good. Because he's also like Cam, like Derek Craven, like all the rest of them. He has money. And he takes it back and he pays him off. Like, he actually comes back and he does a whole thing.
Yeah. The thing is that Sophia's brother ends up being a Viscount.
Yeah.
And her husband, Morgan, I've forgotten his first name.
No, not Morgan.
No, Morgan's a friend. What is his name?
Why I cannot remember this dude's name.
I can't remember this story at all. I'm like, did
But
I
we
read
know who you're talking about. He's like a magistrate or like a judge or something.
Yeah. He runs the police.
Yo, Morgan is the investigator who works with him.
For him, and then takes over the police.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing is that they're aristocratic, and he is determined to bring Sophia's brother, and I'm blocking his name, back into the fold. And I'm going to find this before we leave so that we can have these names. I have it on in my books. Or is it in my Kindle? It could be in my Kindle. But brings him back to take on his title. And after he had gotten him to work for him and become one of the best police officers he's got, and he says, no, you've got to reclaim your true identity for your sister.
And he doesn't want to.
And he refuses. He says, I don't need to. This is who I am. And he understands both worlds. And he's saying, that world allowed me to be tossed away. It allowed my sister to be tossed away. And you want me to walk back into that and do what?
Yeah.
I can't. And that to me is what Kleypas does brilliantly with her characters. You know, the Hawthorns, I love them all. And Cam in that, because I discovered Cam from the Hawthorns and then found him, in Devil in Winter. And I'm like, oh.
This crossover, like everybody was like, Cam's gonna end up with Daisy, right? And then because she kind of gives a little like hint, and you're like, is this gonna happen? And then and then he doesn't end up with her, and everybody was like, man,
no,
I'm very disappointed.
No.
I was about to tell you that the other day.
That's the thing about Kleypas, which is why she's one of my favorites. Okay?
Yeah.
She disrupts our expectations in ways that we can't anticipate. That's one. And two, her world building, is immaculate, in my opinion.
Pretty good.
Because even as St. Vincent is a friggin' grandfather. And he's still the same dog.
He's still
the same host.
Just with a very singular focus.
A very singular focus.
Very singular focus. And that is his wife. That is his wife. But he still is the same person. You're just like, bro, you're like 60 years old, let it go. But he's like, no.
And he's mellowed a little.
I think he's like 52, baby. Is he 60?
You know?
I don't know. All I know is that he's way too old to be having children. Like, he needs to stop.
Yeah. But they're not. He needs to know that.
He needs to let Evie rest. That girl is tired.
That's right. Although they're spread out a little bit,
They're spread. No, it is.
Yeah. So that's also something
ridiculous.
That she sprinkles in there because working class women and poor women understood birth control. They knew which herbals to do.
They sure did.
They knew to nurse that child till it was 5 years old.
They sure did.
Okay. They knew how to pack them sponges up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because people are ignorant when they start talking about historical authenticity. Someone says about the cock and oyster, I have a dildo in there.
That's an ancient times, by the way.
Yes. Like, come on, folks. And then people like, oh my God, did you know they had dildos back in the day? I'm always amazed at the stuff that
ancient Rome, baby.
Yeah. The Egyptians had them.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm always, when I'm on Threads or when it was Twitter, when people start talking about this, they want to bring it up like this. They discovered this last week, and I'm like, y'all need
like Columbus going out here talking about their rediscovering stuff. I'm like, you need to stop.
Yes.
They
And
be
then
on their
there's,
powers too and mad about it.
I
Exactly.
mean,
But
so like,
someone asked me about my condom.
yeah,
And I said, well, and I actually had very special condoms designed.
yeah,
Um, uh, the other thing is Aisha's in her 40s, like
mm,
pretty close to 40. She's
Mhm.
menopausal.
mm,
So, but she knows how to protect herself. But she had very special condoms designed that um that were sheepskin overlaid
mm,
with silk,
mm,
Okay.
you know, and tightly woven and whatnot. And so the sheepskin kept the semen,
in,
and the silk made things smooth for her.
yeah,
And it's like, someone's like, that's not possible.
like wanna bet?
Like, are you kidding me?
It's like not only was it possible, it was done. What are
They
you talking
did
about?
it.
They did it.
Why? Because they made condoms out of silk and cloth and then discovered those were
It
too
was
porous.
porous.
Mhm.
It was a
And then we
problem.
needed to try the animal flesh.
The animal.
Because,
Yeah,
you make a jug
yeah.
out of sheepskin or cowhide.
It keeps in liquid. It's a good idea,
Mhm.
right? That's just liquid proof if you do it right. I'm just
Exactly.
saying, if it's
Wait
it's
a
called a
minute.
wine skin and it doesn't leak, so maybe
Thank
it'll hold
you.
your business.
Thank you. And then the other issue is I went, gloves.
Yeah,
They used the Spaniards were renowned for making these amazing gloves where the hands didn't get wet. What if we used Spanish kid as the fabric of our dildo?
Okay.
It's really smooth, and it doesn't leak. Voila. All the time. You just
yeah.
couldn't reuse them. And it
Mhm.
was expensive.
And
But
it was expensive,
they had
which is
money.
the real thing.
Aisha and
Yeah,
Percy have money,
yeah,
so
you
they
got
can buy
money.
all the
They can
condoms
do
they
it.
want.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good segue into like, shall we say, the status of historical romance as we are now, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
we are all authors
yeah,
working in a field. We are trying to do the Lord's work out here, trying to
yeah.
remind people that, people of all races were making money, living their lives, loving, having
Mhm,
good times, doing their
mhm,
thing. And
mhm.
it feels like, I mean, we're certainly not the first in the field to be doing this, but it
No.
sort of still feels like we are still pioneering this stuff, because it's
Well, it's
like
always
the me-
questions though, too,
yeah,
right?
there's always a question. So yeah, there's always like, what do you mean? So I guess my question is like, what do you think? Well, first of all, the overarching question right now at this point in time is historical romance dying,
I'm so
Elizabeth?
proud of that question.
Is it on
No, no,
is it on
it'll
the
never die.
respirator, Elizabeth? Okay, so it's
No,
not dying.
it'll
Easy
never die. Let me tell
easy
you why
question.
it'll never
So
die.
Oh, tell me
okay,
It'll
why.
tell me.
never die.
Yes. That was my next question.
You're
Why?
We're
next,
always going to be
Elizabeth.
writing it
Okay.
because we're always going to be writing it. Because one of the things that people don't understand is literary trends are literary trends.
Mm.
And I was told when I wrote my paranormal, the paranormal was dead.
Okay.
Guess what's
Right.
back?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So it's more
So
cyclical.
thank you. And I am still looking for this, so you'll just
I knew
have
you
to.
were.
Oh, it's I found for Lady Sophia's lover, the dude's name is Ross Cannon.
Yes,
Ross.
thank you.
It's Ross Cannon, and now I need to just like swooch over to where this other dude's name is. So her husband, her future,
Oh,
her
and let's
man
see
is Ross
now.
Cannon, and her husband. Why do I feel like her brother's name begins with a C? I don't know why, but I feel
It
like it's
probably
odd.
does. It probably
It,
does.
I just
You know
can't
what?
think.
We'll just add it to some chat somewhere.
We'll get it in there.
Um,
But okay, so with respect,
but
so you
here's
said historical
here's
romance is cyclical, or
here's
like trends are
it's
cyclical.
not even that it's cyclical. I think, I think, it's not even that it's cyclical. 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 I think one of the issues is there's a tension, okay, between the way in which readers' expectations are cultivated. And I use cultivated deliberately, like seeds are planted, watered, nurtured, and brought to the fore, is based on the inability of traditional publishing, and I'm going after them because it is traditional publishing.
We got them. Yeah.
Their inability to recognize that people can read widely. You don't have to read one thing. Okay. It's also the issue of not everybody's going to read the same thing.
True.
And right now, what traditional publishing has really been pushing over the last, I'm going to say, 5 years, maybe close to a decade, has been rom-coms. And not even real rom-coms, because there are some rom-coms that aren't rom-coms, okay? There are women's fiction. There's rom-coms. There's comedy with romance. And then there's romance with comedy. And then there's romance that's serious. And that's period. But it has all the marks of a rom-com, you know, where people get together and stuff, but it's very serious. So as we think about romance as a genre, the belief that there isn't room under that umbrella for all types of romance equally comes straight from traditional publishing. Okay, comes straight from that. If you want to sell to a publisher, you have to write in this particular vein, which means your book is just like X.
Yeah.
And people are being trained.
Market trends instead of setting them.
Yeah. And people read X, and you say, well, then you're going to want to read Y because it's just like X. All right. And that leads to a thing. The other issue, and this is part of the difficulty of historical romance as a subgenre of romance, is by the time we started writing and redefining it, Trad Publishing said this is what historical romance. It's predominantly white.
Yeah.
It's predominantly set, and you know, we read English, the English language. It's predominantly set in Regency England or Victorian England. It's predominantly set in England or at best in an exotic size France. They don't even make it to Spain. It's England first, and then they go over to the continent, and then they come back.
Generally the British Isles.
Yeah.
Is what I've generally seen. Isles. It's like sometimes you get exotic if you go to Scotland, and it's just like, bro.
Oh, I mean, come on,
There's a few Gilded Ages, a few, very few though.
Yeah, they occasionally go to New York. Yeah, it's like,
but that's later because that's
later,
more Victorian.
Yeah.
You know, Regency is this, and then Victoria, and there's a little bit of slippage when you can have families. Again, Kleypas does this brilliantly.
Yeah, she does that.
She crosses that line. She will track a family.
Sure will.
And because she does that, she shows continuity in terms of the socioeconomic culture.
And also the evolution of it.
And the evolution of it. She does. Yeah. She's good with that. So bringing it back to America, to the Gilded Age, which is not Regency, but it's definitely Victorian. And we don't think in terms of Victorian literature. So to call it the Gilded Age as opposed to Victorian Age somehow makes it seem different Although all the class rules, all the
Pretty much
all
the
the
same, yeah.
money rules,
Pretty much the
everything is
same, yeah.
still the same. Within, and here's a fundamental problem within the United States, and to some degree, Anglo America, because that's what I know. Black, Latino, Asian histories do not start until the 19th century in the United States.
Mhm.
Even if you're writing, I mean, you literally have to say, I'm Asian, I'm going to go write the Asian one, and it's nobody will probably read it because the land, the world is different. Okay. So with English imperialism, Anglo-Americanism, we have expectations about what the center
Mhm.
of that historical moment is. And that center is Imperial Britain, heavily in the enslavement trade.
Mhm.
Therefore, if it's going to come out historically in the 19th century from America, from the Caribbean, English language, um, it's going to be either because they don't like dealing with enslavement.
Mm-mm.
It's going to be post-enslavement, which means
Mhm.
it's going to be Victorian. Because if you do Regency, you got to do enslavement.
Yep.
Okay. And you also have to be real about free blacks, free Latins,
Right.
free Asians,
Yep.
people who have wealth and so on, and movement around the world.
Yeah.
So I honestly think historical writers face a difficult time trying to sever the rope
Mhm.
between, um, for lack of a better phrase, traditional historical romance
Mhm.
and non-traditional historical
Mhm.
romance, which would open up a much broader world and so on. Um, I think that's an issue. However, people are getting tired of reading the same stuff.
That's one
And
thing I was
because
gonna
they
bring
get
up. Yeah.
tired of reading the same stuff, they are willing to engage authors who are new to them, who are
Mhm.
writing
Right.
different eras and so on, but writing
Yeah.
it in a way where they say, you know what? This is new to me. I wasn't aware of
Yeah.
this. And that's where historical romance, I think, will just pop up again.
Yeah.
It's like a bulb, an iris
So
or a
I guess
tulip.
like
It goes dormant
yeah,
and then it flowers
Then it
again.
comes back.
then flowers again. Yeah. I think that's like I guess that would be also because that was gonna be a question, but I feel like you answered it. It's sort of like a misconception about historical romance that people should be aware of. Like they think that they know what it's going to be, but the reality of it is like you
Yeah,
have no idea. Like if you've been out of historical romance or you've been reading only one author or one author,
yeah,
Right.
for however
yeah,
many years, you have no idea
yeah. What's
what
out there?
actually like it is. Yeah, it's
What's out there?
evolved so
Yeah.
much,
But I
and we
think
out
And the
here.
other issue is people keep circulating the same. Oh,
right.
I love, this writer, typically white. She's bonkers. She does this. She does that. Typically white. Not understand. And these are black readers.
Yeah,
Mm.
These are brown readers. These are Asian readers. These are
yeah,
white readers.
yeah.
And so if you are new to historical romance, and I say to you, oh my God, you need to read Lisa Kleypas, that's who you're going to go to.
You're right.
Or if I say, oh God, my favorite historical writers are Miss Beverly Jenkins Ms. Elisa Cole.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to go and read them. And if you're lucky, all right, you might be interested in finding out if there are other writers out there.
That's
That's
another
one.
issue I see with with influences, which is like I have no problem with it because Beverly Jenkins is fantastic, right? Elizabeth School is fantastic. Right. But I'm like, you are starting them on a journey with authors who have a backlog that's like 30 to 40 books deep. And it's like I'm like, they're never gonna get out of that.
They will.
Depending on how fast they read. I'm like, they're never getting past Beverly Jenkins. Or they're like, and it's like, and she's good and there's no problem with it. But if you're talking about what is happening now, what is happening now, respectfully to Beverly Jenkins, that is not what's happening right now.
And she will tell you that. See, this is the irony. This is the irony. People aren't listening. Because Miss Bev will tell you, okay, yeah, I want you to read all my books.
Yeah. What you gonna say?
Don't be a reader.
Right. Please
and they're good. And I wrote them. She used to smoke, so then she'd have the cigarette and she would tell you because we'd be sitting outside.
Yeah.
But she will then say you need to read so and so. Have you read someone? Have you read this person? Okay. Not people will go, well, why not? Okay. And she will kind of bring them up. The problem that we're faced with is we write a book. We write a multicultural society. I write Black romances too. But they're always situated in a multicultural society. Let's not pretend that there's only one society.
But I feel like the thing that everybody's missing, which kind of gets on my nerves, is fiction. Like that's what we got to start with. We're writing fiction.
Okay. Do you know the Latin origins of the word fiction?
No, what is it?
Facere, which means to make up or to make.
Yeah.
Okay. And it kind of gave way to the lie because as opposed to historical, fiction is always the lie, not historical. Well, people have a problem with the idea of lying because lying is negative.
Yeah.
Really? Because fiction is a lie. It's an amazing, expansive lie. I'm making up these names. I just finished a book. It's contemporary. It's the last of my contemporary series. I gave a character the name Augustus Otis Forsyth.
Yes.
Okay. He's my villain. I don't know anybody with a name like that.
Is that Omar and Cheryl finally get married?
No, this one is Her Heart Only. It hasn't been published.
Her Heart Only.
Yeah. Okay.
Soon.
That's my villain's name. Okay?
Yeah.
I made that. I'm lying because there is no Augustus.
It's like nobody hits their child that much.
Junior. I grew up
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We make things up. We create the world.
But the
assumption is that somehow when it's contemporary, it's real.
Right.
And that's the issue.
I think also there's just especially when you're writing interracially or you're writing just diversely in any way, shape, or form in the historical context. The concept, and this is my personal beef when it comes to like marketing, and Cecilia has heard me go on and off about this like for so long.
I'll time you.
But well, I'll wrap it up. I'll be okay. But like, it really is this thing of it is fiction. You are creating a world, and you're creating fictitious characters and all the rest of it to tell something true. The idea is to use the packaging to deliver something true
All
about
literature does
humanity,
that.
about
All
love.
literature does that.
All literature does that, right? All art does that. Whether it's music, whether it's like all the stuff you're crafting something, you're creating them to deliver something true. And what I find frustrating is when you get into spaces like and nobody come for me. I love Bridgerton, okay? But what I'm talking about is the marketing. I have no beef with
all week. No, I'm just letting the people know. You take off the days, you make a whole tea tray, you have friends over. I
love it. I'm sorry. I love it.
I'm not gonna let them come for you. I'm explaining.
Yes. Don't leave me alone, okay? So I do a thing.
I'm coming
okay?
back. Y'all funny.
I have a problem. But the point is, let me get back to the point. So what frustrates me about what I started noticing, especially for season 1, and then it started happening, it was continuing in season 2 and season 3, and I started being like, I feel like y'all keep using this word.
And
it's starting to piss me off because I feel like y'all mean something else. Yeah. When they started saying things like everything that happens in like the way they cast Bridgerton, the way they set up the society, isn't necessarily exactly the way it was in Regency England. No. Is it closer to what it was like in Regency England compared to what you see in a typical Jane Austen production? Yes.
Yes.
It actually is.
Yeah.
Like, with respect to the diversity, it actually, with a few exceptions, like there's no Koreans in Regency England because Korea was like, nobody can come here, nobody can leave, get out of here.
That's right.
Which is fair, right? But with respect to, there were people of all kinds of different ethnicities. It was multicultural, and the thing is, you were not, and there were no limitations, no legal limitations on how much money people can make, where people could get educated, all these kinds of things. So when people describe Bridgerton, when people are talking about when the justification for the casting of Kate comes in with, well, it's a fantasy world. This is what pisses me off. Because now they're using fiction. They're using the word fiction as a way to help a white audience that is ignorant of the reality. They're using fiction as like the spoonful of sugar to help them swallow it down.
Yes.
It's like, it's not real, it's okay. It's a fantasy, it's not real. And it's like, the fantasy is that Anthony Bridgerton is 30, not syphilitic, and rich with a six-pack. That and not gay. Like, all of those, the fact that he is like every single one of them that's the fantasy. The fantasy is not that Kate Sharma exists. Kate Sharma most likely existed. Anthony Bridgerton, that man was nowhere. Genuinely nowhere.
He probably existed because of the Indian.
Right. I'm like, the idea, it's the thing that people don't understand. I'm like, when you have a country like in England that is literally taking over everybody's country and trying to dominate everybody economically, they're forcing these people to go through England to make money, to get education, to make a future for their children. That is how you end up with everybody in this tiny ass island. And the reality of it is that's how you end up with, and that's what happens. They end up everywhere and everybody ends up there. So to me, that's I'm kind of sick of having to have that battle every single time. I'm gonna do it. I love me a fight.
Don't do it every single time.
I love me a fight. I'm gonna do it, but it is kind of one of those things that I wish more people would sort of. Oh, I wish there were more mediums in which people could educate themselves on the reality of this is what it's looking like. This is, I'm like, you do not have Jane Austen, what's his name, Thackeray, and all these other people, right? Even Charles Dickens, writing about these rich or particularly affluent Black people moving in their world, bringing Black heiresses, all these kinds of things. You do not have these things, them writing about it as common knowledge for their audience, who would also be aware of it if it's not a thing that's already happening. So it is kind of one of those things where you're looking at them and it's like, bro, like, stop saying that word. Stop saying it's a fantasy. It's not a fantasy world. It's fiction.
Yeah. Here's my thing with Bridgerton.
Let's do it. Don't get us canceled.
I've never watched it.
You can.
You're not canceled.
Okay.
Never watched it.
Okay.
I'm supposed to, and one day maybe I will.
Maybe.
No. I do need to, because I have very decided opinions. I did read the books.
Okay.
I'm like a half a dozen of them. I didn't read them all. I think I stopped because it bored me. But I read like the first 4, 5. I'm not a fan of Julie Quinn's writing. I think she is a mid-list equivalent to Lisa Kleypas and Sarah McLean, in my opinion, in terms of storytelling, in terms of world building, in terms of what she does. All right. And again, I'm a literature professor. That's Margot Hendricks talking.
Right.
Yeah.
I need to put that one out there. As Elysabeth Grace writing, she was part of my reading because it was important to me to understand the craft of writing romance for traditional publishing if you wanted to write historical. So for that reason, I actually found her books useful. What I didn't care, honestly, and I could have watched this, I would have watched them if they hadn't messed with the covers. Okay.
It's a whole other conversation.
That pissed me off. That pissed me off. And if you really look at The Duke and I, and you've seen any covers, old covers of Shakespeare's Othello.
Really?
Yeah, I did a paper on it for the Shakespeare Association meeting some years ago. I can share this with you guys because I still have it. And I talked about the images and the problematics of that image when they changed the cover. And that was the very first one they changed to appeal to all of the people who responded to the casting.
Yeah. Marketing-wise, it made very good sense. From purely marketing perspective.
Exactly.
Genius. However, there's the other side.
It's ideologically, it's problematic.
Yes.
So from my perspective, again, to come back to the question of dealing with, of engaging readers' reluctance to engage historical romance, there's several reasons. There are some readers who actually just won't read historical.
Right.
There are readers, and just like there are readers who absolutely won't read contemporary, who won't read urban, who won't read romantasy. We live with that. We are readers. That's the lovely thing about being a reader. Okay. The problem is when voices become overwhelming to new readers, who might be interested in reading this, but would like to see a different representation in a historical.
Yeah.
Like when people found out about Elizabethan mischief and the cock and oyster.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, well, I said, well, I'm gonna tell you right now, cock and oyster is interracial.
Yeah.
Elizabethan mischief has interracial relationships, have Black relationships, multicultural relationships. Okay, because spoiler alert, Isabel has relationships with both Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe, who I brought back from the dead. That's your spoiler, okay?
That's
all right.
I like it. Thank you.
There's your spoiler.
Thank you. You're so nice.
That's Jacobean mischief. When it comes up, you'll see those two in there. She ends up with two. It's a polyamory, so she ends up with 2 black males. Yeah. Okay. So the point is, I can put that on there, but if you're not willing to be adventurous,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to find my books unless I'm on a show like this.
Right.
Or like, when I was on Storm's, what is it? Black Girls Tired and
I love her.
Black
I've been
Girls
in
Books
with
and
her.
Drink.
Yeah.
Yes. That title's too long. I just want to say Black Girls Storm Alcohol.
Black Girl Storm Alcohol.
Alcohol. That works beautifully. But we started talking. And we were talking about paranormal, and then she went, wait a minute. You write historicals too? And we started talking, and she said, I got to have you on there. Because when I told her what my historicals were about.
Yeah.
It is about influencers being willing to step out of their own comfort zone and try something new. That's the part that bothers me the most as an indie author. Is there are a lot of influencers. I don't expect white influencers to do it, to be honest.
I mean, I get that. I agree.
I do to some degree. If you argue that you support diversity in any kind of romance writing or fiction, I expect it of you if you say it. But if you don't, I don't have expectations. But if you do, right? Fabulous. I do expect it of BIPOC people to step out of your circle. Are we about to be cut off?
No.
Somebody. What's wrong?
No, I heard like it was like a car was driving past. Yeah.
I think that was car by my house.
Okay. Because I'm like,
she was like,
I'm in the theater, you know?
Is this how we find out?
For you to go, like,
I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, listen to
it forever.
Yeah, no. But I agree. Like, yeah.
I do think that people need to step outside of their circles if they're actual readers. The problem isn't that people, aren't readers. Okay? They're not adventurous readers.
Right.
Let me tell you what I've been reading most of the summer.
What?
Because I'm writing something on it. I actually wrote, Margot Hendricks co-edited a book on class with a bunch of academics. My essay, because I was forced to write one by the end, because I wasn't going to do it. And so I told him I'm not writing an introduction. If I got to write an essay, I'm not doing the introduction. And so my essay ended up looking at Drea Anderson's paranormal shifters called The Night Brothers. I love her. I love her writing. And Romeo and Juliet, and looking at those in terms of class and as urban romance. And I make the argument in my paper that we need to understand Romeo and Juliet as an urban romance because it works. I make the argument, and it works.
It does work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason I went after Drea's books was because the first time I read them, I went, damn.
Did she write Going Smooth?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's Dria Anderson. Okay, hold on a second.
Because there's one.
These are her books.
Okay, gotcha.
Nice.
Okay. And they're paranormal and they're shifters. And she and it's contemporary and it's urban. She calls it urban fantasy or urban paranormal. But they're romance. They're urban romance. Urban paranormal romance. What intrigued me was the class dynamic that she represented, which, interestingly enough, she believed it was based on Regency historical romance in the Ton.
Oh.
And I said, no, it's not. I mean, yeah, you could, but here's where I'm going to drag you further back in history.
Yeah.
Because the dynamic of the time is the dynamic of the aristocracy at work in the Middle Ages and the early modern period, where you bring daughters together in this public place, you bring them to court, they danced, paraded them, okay, brought them in contact with suitors and stuff. Didn't matter if they fell in love or whatever. Created a betrothal, and you went off, and you solidified not only your land holdings because you added more.
Yeah.
If you brought the daughter in, because you always got stuff. Or
It's
you brought the
dynastic in a
son-in-law
very
in.
strong way,
You
in a
got
very
it.
real way. Yeah.
You got additional wealth, however it was, all right? And you got political power because you guys were suddenly allies, all right? And that's what Dria's doing in her books. And I said, that's so medieval, early modern. Okay. That's so. And so I sent her a copy of the paper when I wrote it, and she went, "Oh my God, you're right. This is how you explained it." And I now understand what I was doing, but I thought it was this. Well, wouldn't it be lovely if people read adventurously to
Yes.
understand that these institutions, these social dynamics aren't new? They didn't come into play in the 19th century with industrial capitalism and then got reformulated or pushed aside, and financial capitalism, market capitalism created new stuff. This stuff has been around since the Middle Ages. In fact, since even as early as the Romans or the Greeks, because they had class structures tied to land and wealth.
Yeah.
Okay. And the negotiation over territory. So she's basically writing a lineage story based on feudalism.
Yeah.
And an adventurous reader might read Elizabethan Mischief alongside Dria's book, alongside Cece's book, alongside Addie's book, alongside, a Black urban street romance. And if they understand what lines all of that, then in my opinion, they're a good romance reader.
Yes.
They're not stuck in a fishbowl. They're not stuck in a circle.
Right.
They can see themes. They can see characterizations. They can see lines. Other problem? Nobody reads for themes. Nobody reads for ideas.
Yeah.
Thematically, we write thematic stuff. It's not just an HEA.
Right.
It's what gets you there. What are not only what the obstacles are, but what do we want to have happen? How did these characters grow? How do they change?
It's the journey, and the
It's
journey
the
is
journey.
so. I think that's. I mean, oh my God, we really need to wrap this up, but I feel like it's so important to discuss.
It's such a good conversation.
That's the thing. I'm like, we are so bad at this because you have like 3 GABAs, and then they're like, "Is there a time limit?" And I'm like, "Well, technically, I mean,
yes, you guys can wrap it up anytime."
I agree. So let me just finish this, and then we're gonna wrap it up. And I'm gonna let Cece wrap it up because she's like, "Come on, let's do this." But I think that is. I mean, to be fair, but I think it's so important. When I don't even think people realize a lot of the not just the books but the media, TV shows, all these kinds of things that we consume, the ones that stuck with us, there were strong themes, and they were going through from season to season. It was important. And I think even the ones that stick with you, the ones that sort of were formative when you were younger or you were older or whatever, there were strong themes going through it. And whether it's written for children, whether it's written for adults or what have you, those themes are things that you pick up on, and it really informs. And the whole point of it is to inform the way that you are it sort of sets up a lens for you through which to interpret how this story is moving through. Because these people aren't just they're not just floating around it like space, right? The ether. And I think like, but I guess that also comes into what you were talking about with like media literacy, right? Like this issue that you have where I don't know whether children got left behind or what happened, but like
it's in our country they sure did.
They left them at the bus stop and kept them pushing. But it's
wait a minute. Those kids didn't even get out of bed.
Bus stop. Like, did they get
just like, oh, but it's just like bus stop. It's like they're like, no, they're still sleeping,
and they didn't wake up on time. That's
all. And that mother was already gone. She was like, don't miss that bus, and they missed the bus. Right?
Yeah, they missed the bus.
They done missed the bus. So it's like, but it's one of those situations, and so I think like the idea, especially when you're talking about romance, right, and historical romance, I really feel like there's this idea that historical romance, but I mean romance in the romance genre in general, but also when you get into historical romance, there's this idea that there's it's not that complicated, like it's not that deep, like
and
it's just about how they're going to get married. Yes, very conservative. It's like, oh, they're gonna get married. We already know how they get there.
Right.
And it's like, there's nothing new and fresh going on there because it already happened. It's in the past. And everything's low stakes because, everybody's still alive. The world didn't end. And like all the rest, right? This kind of thing. And it's so frustrating because you're sitting down there and it's just like, when you're talking about stakes, like, it doesn't get more high stakes than historical romance, especially when you're writing from the female view, because literally everything is life and death. Like your dad dying is life and death. Your mom, like your family losing money. I'm like, you can't just go out there and graft on a job. Like is life and like your marriage. I'm like, are they going to get married? Yes, but the man they marry, the marriage that they are able to have, the family, the connections, the power that they are able to wield or not wield.
What's gonna happen?
I'm like, it is life and death, and it's so. It's frustrating to watch, and I think like that's something that I really wish. Maybe this is something, Cece, we have to do in future episodes. We could bring back Elizabeth and we can discuss this. But like, it's one of those things where I really feel, right? She's like, we're gonna time that conversation. But like, it's just, it's like one of those things where it's like, you cannot just see it as, well, we know what's going to happen. I'm like, it's not about what's going to happen. It's about how she gets there.
How it happens.
It is about
and
the journey.
Why
it's like
happens.
Right. It's like you're watching reading the Odyssey and you're just like, well, we know he gets home. And it's like, it's not about what he gets home. It's about who left home and who showed back up at home.
Thank you. And who
and
got
they're
his
not
butt
necessarily
kicked.
the same person.
And 20
right?
years.
Yeah.
20 freaking years. And so I'm saying, I'm like, he's not just old, right? Like he's seen some things, right? Like, so there's all kinds of stuff going on. I say old, the man was like 45 tops.
Yeah.
But like, he ain't old. But like, it's like, it's one of those things where it's just like, the Odyssey, the whole point of it is literally the journey that he is taken on. And the only reason the journey is allowed to end is because he has to learn the lesson. The happily ever after is something that he has to earn.
That's right.
And I think there's a lack of understanding about like, even within romance as a genre as a whole, but it's no different in historical romance. It's actually harder because the reality of the situation is the marriage could be a thing where you're like, well, they're gonna get married. I'm like, yes, but the question is not, will they get married? The question is,
will she survive it?
Yes, and all the other crap that's going on the outside, where you don't. I'm like, in a contemporary one, he can just go to therapy. I'm like, great. What if that's not an option? What if there's no therapy? Right? She can just go to a lawyer. Right? Well, she can just go to a lawyer.
Get a divorce.
No, she can't get divorced. I'm like, she's not even her own person. She does not exist as a legal entity on her own. She is property. So what does that do? How does that shape it? Like you can't just. How is she going to move?
Also,
and the point of it is,
I think it's also important, and I know you got to go for your kids, but it's also important to remember that women fought. The perception of English women in the 16th and 17th century from outside of England was quite interesting. They were considered to possess freedoms beyond their gender because they could have their own shops, especially if they were widows. They ran their own businesses. They weren't subjected to the church in the same way. They could speak up in church because of Protestantism. So Protestantism kind of radically redefined women's relationships to patriarchy. And England is a Protestant country after 1600, even with Catholic James up there, and even with Catholic Charles up there. It was still a Protestant country. And so the idea of Protestantism with this emphasis on individualism and certain degrees of agencies has an impact. The last thing I want to say brings us to the fortune. I spent the last week and a half, because I couldn't watch it all at once, I had to do some editing, watching the Riddick movies. Riddick?
Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah, the Chronicles of Riddick,
yes.
Pitch Black, and Riddick. So I watched all three of them. They're about to leave Netflix, and so I was watching them.
Okay.
All right. And what I realized is people aren't tired of themes. Those movies are all about themes. And I'm going to watch the Fast and Furious, probably maybe a few of them. I'm not sure if I'll make it through all of them. I'm not, probably won't. My kid has watched some of them, probably all of them, because she's Gen Z. But I'm going to watch a few of them. But based on what I've seen, they are also very thematic. So it's not like contemporary people have a problem with themes.
No.
It's not like they don't understand this. It's
so much of it is marketing and the packaging. It's like, how are you presenting it? It's the marketing
and the packaging. That's right. And it's about linguistic acquisition. People's languages aren't as sophisticated as it might have been a decade ago or so. When someone says, don't use big words, my daughter laughed when she saw, I think it was on Threads or something, when someone was saying scrying out of fantasy witchcraft was a big just like word.
Yeah, so there was an issue on Threads. I think I don't know whether this is where Elizabeth saw it, but it was some person used scrying, and it was used as an example of purple language because it was unnecessarily complicated and long. And I'm like, is there another word that you got for divination? This specific kind of divination.
And it's very specific because you do it
unique. I'm like, it's not a big word. It's the word for what's happening.
For what's happening.
Yes.
That's like saying, like, simple. They're like, yeah. Like they want them to say, they don't want somebody to say hibernation. They're like, just say you go to sleep during winter. Why do you have to use this long word, hibernation? And I'm just like, wow. Like that is literally what it is.
Literally, people were saying that. And the good thing is, quite a few readers were like, "What the heck is wrong with you?" And Bush has to pay for his crimes.
Yeah.
But the other issue is that's an undercurrent of why people stay in this little circle of familiarity.
Right.
Historical romances, no matter when they're set, whether they're set in Harlem. If I wrote one, because I am old enough to do this, and I am actually writing an urban romance. That's set, kind of starts in the 70s and moves through. All right. If I said that, people are going to be like, oh, wait a minute. That's historical, because we know that the 20th century is historical.
Right.
There's a kind of insistence on staying in your little circle because it's familiar. You know the words are going to be thrown at you. And what I was going to say, that what I did this summer is I read urban romance, Black urban romance, because I was doing stuff for that essay. I also read interracial romances in KU. Mostly billionaire.
Yep.
Mostly billionaire because those two sell the most in KU.
Yeah, they do.
And I can understand after reading those why people stay in their circles. And this is where I want where my kindness and empathy and compassion comes into play for readers. These individuals won the educational system in this country. They're not as widely read in terms of reading novels.
Right.
Okay. They're given short novels, novellas really, or they're given short stories. That's one. Two, the expectation of them to fluently go into a dictionary and come out of it with certain understanding and memory about words is not there. People will say, go look it up. No, you don't tell someone to go look it up. You give them a definition. And then you say, but there's more to it. So if now that you understand what the word is and how to spell it and so on, go look it up and find other meanings. And that's going to help you see the nuances of that word. Okay. Second, comfort. We are living in egregious, horrible, awful times. Okay. We really are. We've got a maniac sitting in the presidency of the United States. Okay.
I don't think that's a weird thing to say. I think everybody I think our audience pretty much agrees on that.
Yeah. And because of that, the problematics of what's happening in the world. So people are looking for comfort.
Yeah.
And post
escapism.
2020, literature has always been escapism.
Mm-hmm.
If it teaches you something as part of that escape,
yes,
that's fine. That was always understood from day one. The point,
but they don't want to have to work hard to escape.
Exactly.
So, and the point is, you shouldn't have to work hard to escape.
Yeah.
But you should be thinking as you're escaping.
That's
what's being removed.
The definition of working hard.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just it's like, I don't want to have to think. I want it to just be here. And I'm like, but that is I think that's where you're going with
that. You can't do that when you're reading. Even if you're reading a simple text, you still have to think.
Yeah.
To follow what's going on. So I just say to you, if you don't want to think, then you shouldn't read it all.
You shouldn't read.
You ain't built for this. You ain't built for this.
You should not be reading. You should not even look at a book. You should even put
walk away.
An audio book and headphones on you, because I used to say, and now I have a better way of saying this. Okay. I used to use the S word. You're too S to live.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard that
now I say you are completely lacking anything upstairs that would allow you to continue to exist on this planet, because you're too S to live. And therefore, you really shouldn't be reading. And that's my opinion. I'm gonna live and die with it. Because that's not what you're doing. You don't understand the nature, the purpose of fiction, of literature. All right. Finally, in this country especially, people have been brought up to hate literature.
Yes.
And when you hate literature, you feel like you need to read, but you shouldn't like or appreciate or love what you're reading unless it serves a very simplistic set of vibes.
Yeah. Which is the snobbery that comes when people are talking about genre fiction.
Yeah.
Which is like, genre fiction is seen as like, oh, those are for those, those little plebeians who don't have the intellect to write James Joyce. And I'm just like, it's crazy, because you're sitting on there, no shame to James Joyce. No shade to James Joyce. But it's like,
shade to James Joyce. Shade.
Oh well,
shade. I'm a literature professor. Shade to that.
I'm gonna let you have it. Shade. But my thing is,
Elizabeth gonna drop her shade.
She's getting shade. But like, my thing. Oh my God.
What's his name? Begins with a T. All of them people. Shade to them. Because you know what?
Tolstoy.
Him.
Twister.
That crap is BS. Because if you're going to write about human experience and you never set foot out of the White Palace in Russia, or you never set foot outside of a bar in Temple Bar, Dublin, and outside of the University of Dublin, if you've never set foot out of those experiences and your little clique, then you don't understand crap.
Yeah. And also your human experience is
the human
limited.
Experience are those people who are living, who are struggling, who manage to find joy no matter what comes at them. That's the human experience. And they're not interested in joy. Those people are miserable, which is why I will never read them. Actually, that's not true. They're on my deathbed TBR.
No.
Not on your deathbed.
No,
that's hilarious.
Before I die, I'm going to read Joyce and
You're gonna be busy.
Tolstoy.
The thing is, like,
you know how long my life is going to be? I will be
forever. She's like, go for it.
I know it's coming. I'm like, bring them here. I'm gonna put them there until I crack them open. You know?
She's like romance. She's like, nobody's gonna quiz me. But I think what also I find interesting is like when people talk about literature, right? And they're talking about it, the people that they're using. It's like, especially when it talks about like when they're like, you should read Austen, or like, why don't you read, like Bronte? And it's on there. I'm like, Jane Austen in her time was not exactly
genre fiction.
She was genre fiction, and you know who else was genre fiction? Every other Bronte, Gaskell, all of them. Nobody gave a damn about all of the Bronte sisters. Nobody gave a damn about what they were writing except for girls. And when girls were reading it and being like, yo, this is craziness. And also that looks like my dad, like kind of a situation. Everybody was saying, they were like, oh, you read those penny novels, like you're reading these things, like that's not serious, like that's not serious literature. And now we're teaching courses on this stuff. I'm sure people thought that James Joyce was drunk half the time when he was writing. He probably was. But the point is, he's also, like, you're talking about, like, most of the people that we consider, like, literary giants, and we can discuss whether we agree or not with the title. But the people who are, 9 times out of 10, when they're actually writing, living in their time, there are a lot of people, most people are looking at them like, bro, if you could just end this, if you could just remember like punctuation, right? Yeah. Even Charles Dickens was writing like, he was doing it, like, it was like episodic. He was writing, and so people were like,
he was getting paid a penny a page.
Right. So like when you're sitting down there talking about like, oh my God, I can't believe you can't finish Great Expectations. I'm like, you know who also didn't finish Great Expectations in a week? The entire population of London, England, because they were getting a chapter a week. Okay, so it's like,
and you know what? That was one of the smartest marketing moves by his publisher, because it paid him and it kept people. But you know where they got that from? They got that from the Elizabethans. That's what they did.
Bringing it back around to the Elizabethans.
I'm bringing it back to the past.
Bringing it back.
They sold serially, and so you would go and you'd pick it up. The other issue was you would buy pages from your wages. You would buy pages from your wages. I'd buy pages from my wages, and the three of us would get together. And read it. And then if we were really good and we had a friend who was a pirate printer, he would produce a copy, and then we would go sell it to everybody else.
That's right.
Okay, and we'd cut out the edges. This is why we have copyright.
That's why we have copyright.
That's why we have copyright. And
stop copying our stuff. You do not have the rights.
It was to protect the printer who owned the right to copy, i.e., print the document.
That's right. CC laughed at me, Elizabeth, but I was right.
Saying,
we are
all of this
hours and 29 minutes, people.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm bringing it in.
Okay, finish your thought, Elizabeth, and then we're closing it out.
Yes.
Finish your thought, and we're closing it.
My last point is adventurous readers.
Yes.
I think historical romance readers are also slightly, probably even equally, guilty of not reading adventurously.
Yeah.
They will read historical romance. They'll go read something contemporary. And I was like, or they won't read, like urban romance, or they won't read romantasy, or they won't read cozy mysteries. I think we have to be adventurous readers because history is all over everything that we write. Even if we write strictly urban romance, or even if we write strictly cozy mystery, history's all over it. So why should we deny ourselves the privilege of being adventurous readers? But
Exactly.
here's the real thing. You better read our books.
And with that, Elizabeth,
okay.
Elizabeth, where can they find you though?
Okay,
Yeah.
How
can they stalk you more easily?
Yes.
All right. You can stalk me on Threads. It's Elysabeth Grace.
Yeah.
I'm actually on TikTok, but I still don't know how to use it. I'm there, same name.
Yeah.
Instagram. Oh, I'm gonna master it. I don't like any technology being better than me.
Yes.
I'm on Instagram, and then my website is elizabethgrace.com. I have a Patreon, and I'm using that to try to avoid all the AI stuff. And then there's Margot Hendricks, the academic. I have a Patreon. I'm on Threads as Margot, but I do more. I forget myself, and I'm just Elizabeth. So that's where you can find me.
And are all the books on sale on your website? I didn't see them on Amazon.
You got another hour? I'm not on Amazon.
Okay.
We're gonna discuss Amazon. We're gonna bring you back to Amazon. We're gonna be for Amazon.
No, I am on you can buy my books through Amazon.
Okay.
Because I go through draft to digital.
Gotcha.
Okay. I don't use KU anymore because all my stuff was pirated, and I figured, this is crazy. Oh, KU is the pirating site. That's when KU, and now they're scraping for AI. So anything that's in KU is going to be scraped, and you might as well live with it. The other issue about Amazon is authors their accounts are being terminated, and they have to fight to get it back.
That's happening a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's happening a lot right now.
Yeah.
And that's AI. So you can, Elysabeth Grace, I have my stores on PayHip. I have my store on Beventi for paperbacks, PayHip for ebooks. You go to my website, you click on library, it'll take you to my bookstores. And just, the ebooks are on PayHip and the paperbacks are there.
Awesome.
But libraries, I'm trying to get them all in the libraries too. So if you're a library user, you can request it. You can request our books, and they'll be in the library. And then finally, and this is to all of you, if you read our books, write about them.
Yep.
It don't always have to be great.
Yep.
But if you write a review, even if you said, this book was really interesting, but it wasn't for me, because of this, someone else will read that and go, "Oh, I like that particular topic."
Yeah.
And they can read it. So, that's it. But read them.
Reviews, please. Leave reviews. Read and review. All of our books.
Reviews. Read and review all our books, and read all our books, and read whatever we wrote, because history's all over the place.
It's everywhere. We all over the place in these streets. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we in the streets, we're wrapping it up. Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much for being here.
Me.
Yes,
have fun.
Absolutely. Yes, and Cece, thank you so much for agreeing. She is a captive audience now. She's never gonna get away from me. I will stalk her.
I
think this
we did do 2 hours.
We sure did. It was a problem. It's a problem, but it's gonna be okay, guys.
That's what happens when you get smart people together. I'm talking about y'all.
It is what happens.
Oh no! You're asking the right questions too. Don't even.
And then there's that. She's like, this is our fault. We did this. We brought this out ourselves.
I'm like, ooh. Let's see if I can give a short answer to that. Can I avoid being pedantic? Oh my God, the Professor rises.
There was no pedantry. There was no pedantry to be found. I would like at all. Well, thank you so much. And well,
I didn't say the F word once, and I'm so proud of me.
You did not.
Yeah.
High five.
You did great. So, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Everybody, we have another episode coming tomorrow, I think, CC Jesus.
Yeah.
We will be having the fabulous May Moore. She will be here. She will be discussing Garden of Thorns, the first book in her new trilogy. Could be a series. Either way, we're excited about it.
And it's a mystery.
Yeah. She will be there. We got all kinds of hijinks going on, so that's going to be exciting tomorrow.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, she's like, I will be watching. So, thank you so much, and you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for coming. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.